Why it sucks to be born as a Goliath. Tigerfish. Imagine swimming in the depths of the Congo River. The water is murky, the currents are violent, and the shadows stretch endlessly. Suddenly, gleaming white fangs emerge, slicing through the water. A monstrous fish, half as long as a human, built for speed, terror, and raw destruction. Locals whisper about it. Fishermen tell stories that sound like nightmares. This is the Goliath tigerfish, the so-called demon of the river. With its ferocious appearance, it might seem like the ultimate apex predator. The name alone strikes fear. Goliath, a title reserved for giants, killers, and legends. On the surface, it sounds like the dream life. Power, dominance, and the ability to scare everything in your path. But here's the ugly truth. Being born as a Goliath tigerfish is not a blessing. It's a curse. Behind those razor-sharp teeth and that muscular body lies a life of constant struggle, paranoia, and survival in one of the harshest freshwater environments on Earth. Today, we'll uncover the hidden reality of this so-called monster. From the moment it hatches as a tiny, helpless fry, to the violent, lonely existence of adulthood, the life of a Goliath tigerfish is a never-ending gauntlet of misery. So buckle up, because by the end of this journey, you'll understand exactly why it sucks to be born as a Goliath tigerfish. 1. Born into chaos. Every story begins at birth. For the Goliath tigerfish, that birth takes place in the most chaotic, unforgiving waters on Earth, the Congo River Basin. This isn't some peaceful nursery. It's not a coral reef where colorful fish dance and hide among the rocks. This is a violent, churning, oxygen-hungry monster of a river filled with predators, disease, and dangers in every direction. The egg stage, a death lottery. A Goliath tigerfish doesn't start life as a predator. It starts as a fragile, translucent egg, drifting helplessly in the current. The mother may lay thousands, even tens of thousands of eggs, because she knows a brutal truth. The majority of her offspring won't survive more than a few hours. Fish eggs are like candy to almost everything else in the river. Other fish, insects, even amphibians and birds swoop in for the feast. Before a single fry even takes its first breath, the massacre has begun. Imagine being born into a lottery where the odds are stacked heavily against you, and the prize isn't riches. It's simply survival. Out of thousands of eggs, only a handful will survive to hatch. And even then, the nightmare is just beginning fry in a war zone. When the tiny fry finally hatch, they are smaller than a grain of rice, nearly invisible in the water. No teeth, no muscle, no protection, just soft, vulnerable flesh. In a river teeming with predators, this is a death sentence. They become an all-you-can-eat buffet for every hungry creature in the Congo. Catfish, cichlids, dragonfly larvae, and even their own kind. Yes, even at this fragile stage, cannibalism is on the menu. Larger fry won't hesitate to gobble up the smaller ones. If you're weak, slow, or just unlucky, your siblings will devour you. Think about it. Before you even learn how to swim properly, your life is a desperate sprint from one hiding place to the next. Your only strategy is to stay invisible. But in a river, this violent invisibility is nearly impossible. The Congo River, nature's gauntlet. To understand why the early life of a Goliath tigerfish sucks so much, you have to understand its home, the Congo River. This isn't a gentle stream. This is the second largest river in the world by volume. Its currents are brutal, its depth staggering, up to 720 feet deep in some areas. It's like living inside a never-ending storm. Currents can sweep away entire schools of fish, slam them into rocks, or pull them into whirlpools where escape is impossible. For a fry barely able to move its fins, the river itself is a predator. If you're not eaten, you might simply be crushed, swept away, or suffocated by lack of oxygen in the chaotic waters. Imagine being a newborn baby tossed into a hurricane, expected to figure out survival instantly. That's what it means to hatch as a Goliath tigerfish. Predators everywhere. But even if you manage to survive the chaos of the currents, There's no safe haven. The Congo River is full of killers. Crocodiles patrol the shallows. Birds dive bomb the surface. Giant catfish lurk in the depths. Even smaller fish species are eager to make a meal out of helpless fry. And if none of them get you, your own future predators, the bigger Goliath tigerfish, might. The Congo ecosystem is an arms race of survival, and as a tiny fry, you're the weakest soldier on the battlefield. No fangs, no armor, no chance. You're born into war, and more than 90% of your generation will be wiped out within days. The few who survive carry the scars of this early chaos forever. The constant hunger. And if the predators don't kill you, hunger will. The Goliath tigerfish has a metabolism like a furnace. Even from the fry stage, they need constant food to grow. But the problem is, there's never enough to go around. Thousands of fry are competing for scraps of plankton, insects, and larvae. The bigger ones push the smaller ones out. And in times of scarcity, they turn on each other. That's right. If food runs short, baby tigerfish cannibalize their siblings without hesitation. Your first meal could be your brother, your cousin, or your own twin. Growing up as a Goliath tigerfish means living in a permanent state of hunger. Every second you don't eat is a second you're falling behind, and in this brutal ecosystem, falling behind means death. So, let's recap. Being born as a Goliath tigerfish doesn't mean you burst into the world as a mighty monster. You start as a fragile egg in a death lottery, fighting off predators, currents, starvation, and even your own siblings. The Congo River doesn't nurture its children, it devours them. And yet somehow, against impossible odds, a few fry survive. But don't celebrate just yet, because if you think life gets easier once you grow bigger, you couldn't be more wrong. Growing up as a Goliath tigerfish only means the battles get bigger, the hunger grows stronger, and the dangers become deadlier. In the next chapter, we'll follow the survivors as they grow from fragile fry into fearsome hunters, and see why even being the predator doesn't guarantee peace. In fact, it might make life even worse. 2. Growing up dangerous. Against impossible odds, some fry make it past their fragile beginnings. They survive the eggshell massacre, dodge the jaws of predators, and avoid starvation long enough to grow. And now, with tiny teeth beginning to erupt in their jaws, they are no longer prey alone. They are becoming predators themselves. You might think this is the turning point, the moment where life gets easier. But here's the reality. Growing up as a Goliath tigerfish doesn't mean freedom from suffering. It means trading one set of nightmares for another, the transition to predator. As juvenile tigerfish grow, their diet shifts from plankton and insects to small fish. Their bodies transform rapidly. Muscles thicken, fins lengthen for speed, teeth sharpen into miniature daggers, hinting at the monster they will become. But with this transformation comes a new curse: hunger. The Goliath tigerfish is born with a metabolism so extreme that it must constantly feed just to stay alive. The larger it grows, the hungrier it gets. And if a young tigerfish fails to eat enough, its growth slows, its energy weakens. And in this river, weakness is an open invitation to be eaten. Life becomes a never-ending chase. Every day is hunt or be hunted. And even as a young predator, you're far from invincible. Competition everywhere. The Congo River is home to countless predators: catfish, other tigerfish species, electric eels, even monstrous lungfish. As a juvenile tigerfish, you're not yet the apex predator. Far from it. You're competing for food with older, larger hunters, and when you lose that race, you starve. Worse is sometimes you're not competing against strangers, you're competing against your own kind. Sibling rivalry in tigerfish isn't about who gets the last cookie. It's about who gets to live another day. Bigger juveniles chase smaller ones away from hunting grounds, and sometimes they don't just chase, they kill. Yes, tigerfish are cannibals at every stage of life. If you're smaller, weaker, or slower, you're on the menu. Imagine being forced to share a school with classmates who might eat you alive if you don't swim fast enough. That's the classroom of a young Goliath tigerfish, the harsh environment. And let's not forget the setting. The Congo River doesn't care if you're growing. It still throws its brutal currents and dangerous rapids at you. A juvenile fish must constantly fight against being swept into oxygen-poor waters, or worse, into the waiting mouths of predators lurking in ambush. Floods change the landscape overnight. One day you might have a safe hunting ground near a fallen tree. The next it's gone, swept away in the floods, leaving you exposed and vulnerable. For human kids, growing up means learning to ride a bike, going to school, maybe dealing with some bullies. For a tigerfish, growing up means dodging crocodiles, outswimming currents strong enough to drag you to the bottom, and eating anything smaller than you just to make it through another day. The curse of growing bigger. Here's the paradox of being a Goliath tigerfish. The bigger you get, the more miserable your life becomes. Yes, size means strength, but it also means hunger. A 20-inch juvenile needs far more food than a 10-inch fry, and there's only so much food in the river. This means more hunting, more chasing, and more risk. Your body demands constant fuel, and failure means starvation. Growth is not a blessing, it's a burden. To make things worse, your growing size makes you a target. A crocodile or a giant catfish might ignore the tiny fry. But a juicy, mid-sized tigerfish? That's a worthy meal. You're suddenly on the radar of the river's biggest killers. Constant injury. Predators in the Congo don't hunt politely. Every chase, every fight, every narrow escape leaves scars. A swipe from a crocodile's jaws, a tear from a rival's teeth, a wound from crashing into rocks while fleeing a bigger hunter. Juvenile tigerfish are covered in battle damage long before they ever reach adulthood. And unlike humans, there's no medical care, no recovery time. You swim with your wounds or you die. Infection spreads quickly in warm, dirty river water. A small cut can turn into a death sentence. Survival is a gamble every single day. The loneliness begins. Tigerfish don't grow up in packs. They're not schooling fish like sardines or social hunters like dolphins. They're loners almost from the start. That means no family to protect you, no community to fall back on, no backup in a fight. Just you alone, surrounded by threats, forever hungry, forever hunted. A young tigerfish grows up in silence, surrounded by enemies on every side. That loneliness? It never goes away. So here's the reality. Growing up as a Goliath tigerfish isn't about transforming into a powerful predator and living a life of luxury. It's about clawing your way up the food chain, constantly starving, constantly hunted, and constantly injured. You might think gaining teeth and speed makes life easier, but in truth, it only makes the challenges harder. You trade being prey for being both predator and prey. You live every day on the knife's edge between killing and being killed. Growing up dangerous doesn't mean growing up free. It means growing up cursed. And if you think things get easier once these fish reach their full monstrous size, think again. Because being an adult Goliath tigerfish means shouldering the full burden of being a so-called apex predator, and the pressure is crushing. 3. The pressure of being a super predator. At last, after years of surviving as prey, a Goliath tigerfish reaches adulthood. Now it's huge, 4, maybe even 5 feet long, weighing over 100 pounds. With muscle-packed jaws and fangs longer than a human's finger, it finally has the power to strike fear into anything it meets. Locals call it the demon fish, the monster of the Congo. On the surface, it looks like victory. You've made it. You're the predator now. But here's the cruel twist. Being a so-called super predator doesn't mean you've escaped the nightmare. In fact, the pressure of holding that title makes life even worse. The hunger never ends. Let's start with the curse of appetite. A full-grown Goliath tigerfish isn't nibbling on insects anymore. It devours prey nearly half its own size, sometimes even larger. But to fuel its massive body, it must eat constantly. 1 fish, 2 fish, 10 fish. It's never enough. A human athlete can burn through 3,000 calories a day. The Goliath tigerfish? Its body is a furnace, demanding fuel every single waking moment. Miss too many meals and you weaken. Weaken too much and you die. Being the biggest predator means being the hungriest predator, and hunger is relentless. But here's the problem. Food doesn't come easy. Hunting in the Congo isn't like fishing in a pond. Prey are fast, evasive, and just as desperate to live. Every hunt burns energy. Every failed strike brings you closer to starvation. And when you're this big, you can't hide. Your size makes you powerful, but it also makes you visible. Every chase is a gamble. Will you eat or will you waste precious energy for nothing? Her enemies still exist. Even as a so-called apex predator, you're not invincible. Crocodiles stalk the same waters, and to them, a 100-pound tigerfish is a fine meal. Nile crocodiles can grow to over 15 feet, easily capable of overpowering even the fiercest tigerfish. Hippos, though herbivores, are territorial and will crush anything that enters their path. And let's not forget humans, armed with nets, hooks, and spears. To them, the Goliath tigerfish is both a prize and a threat. They hunt it out of fear or for the thrill of conquering the so-called river monster. One mistake, one wrong turn, and even the top predator becomes prey. Being feared doesn't make you safe. It only paints a bigger target on your back. The pain of being a fighter. With great size comes constant violence. Tigerfish don't live peaceful lives. They fight for food, for territory, for dominance. And these aren't minor scuffles. These are full-on wars with jaws like knives. Every encounter risks serious injury. A broken fin, a torn gill, a cracked jaw, and it's game over. In the Congo, there are no second chances. A wounded predator is a dead predator. Infection sets in quickly. Parasites infest open wounds and rivals don't show mercy. You either fight perfectly every time, or you pay the price. The solitary curse. Unlike wolves, lions, or orcas, tigerfish don't hunt in groups. There's no pack strategy, no shared meals, no backup in a fight. They live and die alone. That means every hunt is your responsibility. Every danger must be faced without allies. And in a river filled with dangers, solitude is exhausting. Loneliness doesn't just mean boredom, it means vulnerability. If you're injured, no one helps. If you're starving, no one shares. If you're overwhelmed, no one saves you. Solitary life may give you power, but it robs you of every ounce of security. The myth versus reality. Humans see the Goliath tigerfish as a monster, a demon that rules the Congo with unstoppable power. But the reality? It's a life of fear, hunger, and violence. A constant balancing act of hunting and escaping, eating and avoiding being eaten, fighting and recovering from wounds. Power doesn't mean peace. In fact, power makes the suffering worse. Because when you're the so-called super predator, you can never show weakness. And yet deep down, weakness is unavoidable. Even monsters bleed. So here's the truth. Being the apex predator sounds glamorous, but it's a nightmare of endless hunger, constant battles, and solitary survival. For the Goliath tigerfish, every day is a fight against the river, against rivals, against starvation, against death itself. The pressure of being at the top isn't freedom. It's a cage made of teeth and blood. And the bigger you are, the heavier that cage becomes. In the next chapter, we'll see how one predator above all others makes the life of the Goliath tigerfish even worse. Humans. Because nothing sucks more than becoming the monster in someone else's story.
For
4.
millions of years,
The human
the Goliath
problem.
Tigerfish ruled the
For
Congo
millions of
unchecked.
years, the
It had
Goliath
no rivals
tigerfish
but nature
ruled the
itself.
Congo
But
unchecked.
then came
It had
humanity.
no rivals but nature itself. But then came humanity, clever, relentless, and armed not with teeth, but with tools. And once humans entered the tigerfish's world, everything changed. Suddenly, being born as a so-called monster of the river wasn't just a challenge, it was a death sentence. Because to humans, the Goliath tigerfish is more than just another animal. It is a legend, a nightmare, and a prize worth killing for. The reputation of a monster. In the Congo Basin, the Goliath tigerfish is feared almost like a demon. Stories circulate of it attacking humans, ripping through nets, even dragging people underwater. Whether all of these stories are true doesn't matter. What matters is the reputation, and reputations kill. Fishermen see the tigerfish as a threat, villagers see it as a curse, and outsiders see it as a trophy. From the moment a tigerfish grows large enough to be recognized, it lives under the shadow of human fear and fascination. And what happens when humans fear you? They destroy you. The trophy hunters. To sport fishermen, catching a Goliath tigerfish is the ultimate conquest. Videos online show foreign anglers battling these creatures for hours, glorifying their size and strength. The fish thrashes, gasping, hooked in the jaw, dragged from the water into an alien world where it cannot breathe. And then, for the sake of a photograph, a life ends. Imagine living a life of constant struggle, only to end up suffocating in the air while strangers grin over your body. To the Goliath tigerfish, humans are not just predators. They are executioners who kill not out of hunger, but for entertainment. Overfishing and starvation. But it's not just trophy hunting. The Congo's rivers are the lifeline of millions of people, and fishing is survival. Nets sweep through the waters, catching everything in their path. For the tigerfish, this means two things: fewer prey to hunt and a higher chance of being caught itself. Overfishing strips the river of food, leaving even the top predators starving. Remember that endless hunger from earlier chapters? Now add humans draining the pantry empty. Hunger turns into desperation, and desperation turns into death. The tigerfish doesn't just suffer at the end of a hook. It suffers in silence. Every time a net removes another school of prey. Habitat destruction. As human populations grow, the rivers are changing. Dams choke the natural flow, altering the delicate balance of currents. Pollution seeps into the water from agriculture, mining, and industry. Plastic bags drift where once schools of fish darted. Chemicals poison the prey species. For a predator like the Goliath tigerfish, this means fewer safe hunting grounds, more toxins in its body, and less chance of long-term survival. The river that once shaped the tigerfish into a monster is being reshaped into a trap. The monster of the Congo is not being slain by another beast, it's being suffocated by human hands. The fear cycle. Perhaps the cruelest part of the human problem is the cycle of fear. The tigerfish's teeth inspire horror, so people kill it. The more it is hunted, the rarer it becomes, and the rarer it becomes, the more valuable it is to kill one. Fear feeds destruction, destruction feeds rarity, and rarity feeds more fear. The tigerfish cannot win. No matter how it adapts, no matter how fast or fierce it becomes, humans always find new ways to corner it. In this battle, size and strength mean nothing. The cultural curse. In some villages, tigerfish teeth are worn as charms, said to ward off evil or bring strength. Whole jaws are displayed as proof of bravery. But behind every charm and trophy is a dead fish. One more life cut short. To humans, the tigerfish is either a monster or a symbol. To the tigerfish, humans are the greatest predator it has ever faced. A predator that doesn't just kill, it reshapes the entire world around it. So let's recap. The Goliath tigerfish survives its violent birth, outgrows its fragile youth, and climbs the bloody ladder of predators to become a monster feared across Africa. And just when it thinks it has earned its place, humans step in and destroy everything. We drain its food, poison its waters, hunt it for sport, and kill it out of fear. In a way, being born as a tigerfish isn't just about surviving nature, it's about surviving us. And that's a battle the tigerfish was never built to win. In the next chapter, we'll dive into one of the most overlooked curses of the tigerfish's life, the crushing loneliness of being a solitary predator. Because even if it escapes the hooks, the nets, and the crocodiles, it can't escape the silence of its own existence. 5. Lonely existence. When most creatures grow, they find comfort in companionship. Wolves form packs. Elephants gather in herds. Even fish like sardines and herring swarm together, finding safety in numbers. But the Goliath tigerfish? It has none of that. From the moment it hatches until the day it dies, it is almost always alone. And while solitude may sound like freedom, in the Congo River, it is nothing less than a curse. To be born a tigerfish is to be sentenced to a lifetime of loneliness, the absence of family. For humans, childhood is marked by protection. Parents watch over us, feed us, teach us. But for a tigerfish, the word family means nothing. Mothers scatter their eggs and vanish, never to return. Fathers don't even enter the picture. From the instant you hatch, you're on your own. There are no guiding figures, no parental care, no siblings who grow alongside you. The only interaction you might have with your own kin? Cannibalism. Family doesn't nurture you, it hunts you. So the first lesson of tigerfish life is cruelly simple. You cannot trust anyone, not even your own blood. The curse of solitary hunting. As the tigerfish grows, it becomes a formidable hunter. But unlike dolphins that cooperate or lions that ambush as a pride, tigerfish hunt alone. Every chase, every strike, every kill is solitary. There are no allies driving prey toward your jaws. No safety net if you fail. It's you against the river, every single day. And here's the problem. Hunting in the Congo is exhausting. Prey are lightning fast. Currents are unpredictable. Sometimes you waste enormous energy in a chase, only to come up empty. In a group, the failure could be shared. But alone, failure means hunger gnaws only at your stomach. Loneliness magnifies every risk, every mistake. No allies in a world of enemies. In the animal kingdom, companionship often means defense. Zebras keep watch for lions. Meerkats alert each other to eagles. Even fish in schools confuse predators with sheer numbers. But a Goliath tigerfish? It has no backup. When crocodiles ambush, there is no warning call. When fishermen cast their nets, there is no swarm to hide in. When injury strikes, there is no one to help. You are alone in the darkness, surrounded by enemies, and the only thing you can rely on is your own strength, and strength fades with time. Solitude doesn't make you safer. It makes you easier to pick off the paranoia of solitary life. With no allies, the tigerfish lives in a constant state of paranoia. Every shadow in the water could be a threat. Every ripple on the surface could mean danger. A solitary predator cannot relax, not for a second. To let your guard down is to invite death. And imagine living like that for decades. No moments of calm, no companionship to ease the tension. Just endless vigilance until even rest becomes a risk. In solitude, fear becomes your only friend. The empty victories. Even in success, the loneliness bites. You ambush a school of fish, sink your fangs into prey, and feed until your belly is full. Victory, right? But when the frenzy ends, the silence returns. No one shares the meal. No one celebrates the kill. No one even acknowledges your existence. A feast in solitude tastes like ashes, because even power without companionship feels hollow, aging in silence. As years pass, the solitude only deepens. Juveniles are at least surrounded by others their size, even if they're rivals. But adults roam alone, and as age weakens their muscles and slows their strikes, the silence becomes heavier. Injuries take longer to heal. Chases end more often in failure. And there is no herd, no pride, no pack to care for the old. A tigerfish dies the way it lived, alone, unseen, and forgotten. Loneliness isn't just an emotional curse. In the wild, it's a death sentence, the human contrast. To us, companionship is so natural we take it for granted. We laugh, we bond, we love, we protect each other. Even solitary people still belong to communities, still share language, culture, and connection. For the Goliath tigerfish, none of that exists. No friendships, no bonds, no family, just survival. We call it a monster, but perhaps the real tragedy is that it lives a life stripped of everything we value most. So let's review. Born without parents, hunted by siblings, forced to live as a solitary predator, constant paranoia, No allies, no companionship, no comfort. A lifetime of empty victories and silent suffering. For the Goliath tigerfish, loneliness is not an accident. It is the only way to live. And it is why, no matter how terrifying its teeth may look, life as this so-called monster is a hollow existence. In the final chapter, we'll pull everything together. The hunger, the danger, the human threat, the loneliness, and reveal the ultimate truth of why it really sucks to be born as a Goliath tigerfish. The curse of loneliness. Even if you survive the gauntlet of birth, hunger, and predators, what then? Loneliness. A tigerfish lives a solitary life. No pack, no shoal, no mate by your side, just endless silence. Every kill, every victory, every moment of survival, it all happens alone. And when old age creeps in, slowing your strikes and weakening your muscles, there is no one to help. You fade into the river's current, unseen and forgotten. It is a life stripped of companionship, stripped of joy, stripped of meaning. The river does not mourn. The silence swallows you whole. The final verdict. So let us ask again, why does it suck to be born a Goliath tigerfish? Because every stage of life is rigged against you. You're abandoned at birth. You're hunted by your own siblings. You're enslaved by hunger that never ends. You're hunted from above and below, by crocodiles, by larger fish, by humans. You're misunderstood, vilified, and targeted for existing. You live a lifetime of loneliness, only to die unnoticed, forgotten in the murky waters. This is the truth behind the myth. The Goliath tigerfish may look like a monster, but in reality, it is a prisoner of its own existence, born into violence, doomed to hunger, haunted by fear, hunted by man, and cursed to die alone. So the next time you hear about the so-called terror of Africa's rivers, remember this. Being born as a Goliath tigerfish doesn't make you powerful. It makes you a victim of one of nature's cruelest fates. It sucks to be born as a Goliath tigerfish, and now you know why.